I have a really strange metaphor here, so bear with me. And if it sucks, my bad. You know how, pets get older and, you can kind of see, they develop like arthritis and they're just not moving as well as they used to. And, you just see that they're a lot, they look tired, they're in rough shape. Right. And at a certain point, you have to make the tough decision of like, what is the quality of life here? It's a really hard decision that comes when your pet has to be put down because you don't really know what the pet would want, right? So this really isn't relevant to the metaphor, but just understanding that this is a difficult decision, right? At this time in the pet's life, basically the choice comes down to how much do they have left, right? Like how much are you willing to let them persevere through before you pull the plug, right? And I think that's kind of where the Warriors are at with Steve Kerr. This is a pretty brutal metaphor, so sorry, but that's really what I can think of here. And that's what comes to mind because Steve Kerr is already kind of losing the locker room, right? Like he's Steph Curry's guy, Draymond's guy, Clay's guy, right? Like they love him. They've had a lot of success with him, and I don't really see him getting fired. I just think that the Warriors are in a position where if the talent that they have right now, that, you know, the Curry, Clay, Draymonds of the team aren't able to contribute, they have to sell at the highest value, right? If they can't compete for another championship and they're going to be in the play in right now, you have to feel like the right move as the GM is to sell. And part of the sell would be to get rid of Steve Kerr, unfortunately. Because let's be real here. You cannot let guys like Kuminga and Moses Moody like get their development hindered. Realistically, I feel like guys like Kuminga and Moody are probably going to be moved for Pascal Siakam. That's just what my gut says. I feel like the Warriors have enough capital to go all in, grab Siakam, and make one last push. You have to look at that situation and say, okay, does Pascal Siakam make them a championship contender? And the way that the Warriors play, Siakam fits perfectly, in my opinion. They love to get out on the break. They love to run. Siakam is an agile guy that can play the five. He's not, a 7-footer because they seem to not like having those types of guys on their roster. He could definitely do that Kevon Looney thing if you wanted to go big, right? It's obviously not big, but you wanted to put him at the 4 and then, Draymond would have to come off the bench or something. Like that type of situation. Maybe you add Chris Paul in for salary and then he gets bought out or shipped to a third team. I don't know how the deal would work. You would definitely have to send out a lot of stuff. And you're essentially saying that you believe Clay and Wiggins and Draymond are going to step up and they have a little bit left in the tank and you can make a late playoff push and eventually a championship push. I don't, have any real opinion on that because I think realistically, if you want to satisfy the fan base, you have to. If we're talking about what's best for the team, I don't know. I feel like it's right now or never. If they don't make a big move at the deadline, they have given up. And eventually, you might see a guy like Clay retire in the next couple of seasons, Draymond and Steph obviously probably going to different destinations. It really is all in, chips on the table, or really like what are you doing? You're just wasting another year of Steph. And he's obviously still a very good basketball player. I don't think there's any reality where guys like Steph or Clay or Draymond or any of those like main core guys that have won the titles together, those guys aren't getting shipped out. And the reason that that's important is because if they're going to be stuck around and Steve Kerr is going to be stuck around, you know, it, you really can't give up like anything else. You've already got Davis, who's developed nicely. Pozemski, I forgive me, it's not a great pronunciation. I'll work on it. But those guys are guys that have developed well, and that's to Steve Kerr's credit because they're trying to get guys that are going to fit around Steph and Clay, and that might not be what you need. because Clay might need to be the guy that like turns into a catch and shoot and just catch and shoot. It's unfortunate, but if you feed Kuminga, I guarantee you the Warriors are going to do better. Guys like Moses Moody and Jonathan Kuminga are ready. Like they're ready to be contributors on this team, but if Steve Kerr's not willing to give them the minutes that they need to produce, then it might be time to ship them out along with some other stuff, consolidate that talent a little bit, and go all in on Steph and Clay. And I mean, Wiggins is there. I don't know what's going on with him. He's obviously not playing great. He had, I believe, serious mental health. I think there was some loss in family or something like that happened. I don't really remember, but obviously he's going through it and that sucks, but seeing the way that he's regressed as a player, for whatever the reason is, it's irrelevant. You definitely need to acquire more talent because everybody really on the roster is regressing, right? Like that's what it is, and that sucks. And if you're not going to let the young guys take on a bigger role, then you're not going to improve. You're not going to get better. You need to get that new talent in that starts to take over the reins from the older guys. But, Draymond serving his suspension, Chris Paul getting hurt, like it's getting rough. Obviously, Draymond's about to come back, so we'll see what happens with the team there. But I really think a deal for Pascal Siakam would be the move. I don't really think that there's any other player they could go out and get that would be worth it. I mean, I hear the Zach LaVine thing, but they have too many guards. Even if you got rid of exclusively guards and like consolidated into Zach LaVine, like Clay, you cannot play Clay at the three. You just can't. I mean, I'm not challenging Steve Kerr. I'm sure he would do it. And I guess you could put LaVine at the three. Definitely another guy that's a super efficient scorer that could do the Klay Thompson thing, just the way Klay Thompson does it. And then Clay can be like the catch and shoot guy. But I don't know. I see both of those. Those could both work out. They need to get someone. They need to acquire somebody, or it's going downhill from here. Like they this is the time. If you're going all in on Steph Curry, you're not firing Steve Kerr, you're not trading any of these guys. You have to go all in. You have to make a move. We're gonna see what the Warriors do, but this is really like the pressure is on. And if you think you can get a couple more good years out of these guys, you got to give them something to work with.